Bonjour, c'est Mademoiselle Vignaroli. Today we are going to take notes outside of class. This method of a flipped classroom involves watching these screencasts and taking notes. Anytime during the presentation, you can pause. I'm going to have you try that now by looking for your packet and finding the page where you see the same heading, the verb etre. Find that page in your packet and hit play again when you're ready to continue. Now that you're here, what you need to write down is this explanation that in French, like in English, the subject of a verb is the person or thing that carries out the action. The verb expresses the action itself. So let's see what we're talking about here. The subject in this sentence right here is the person or thing that carries out the action. That is le professeur. The action itself is parle, means speaks French. Parle français, speaks French. So le professeur parle français. When we're talking about someone, we'll probably say more than just one sentence about them. The same would be true of a thing. We'll want to find some word to stand for that subject. So what we're going to use next is called a subject pronoun. Make sure you write subject pronouns and include the explanation that subject pronouns replace a noun that is the subject of a verb. So, in this sentence here, we have the subject pronoun il, meaning he. Il is standing for le professeur. The verb and what he's doing, parle français, stay the same. So perhaps we mentioned le professeur previously, and now we just need to refer to him as he. He is not the only subject pronoun that we're going to need, of course, and we've seen these other ones before. Practice pronouncing these and pause as you need to do so. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. You probably noticed that in all of the plural subject pronouns, the last S remained silent. And this is true, except of course when one of these words comes right before a vowel. We'll see more about that in a moment. Practice these again and make sure you're pronouncing them correctly. Je. Remember when we learned to say je vais bien? Tu, as in comment t'appelles-tu? Il means he, or it can mean it if we're talking about a noun that's not a person but is masculine. Elle, it means she, or it also means it. Again, if we're talking about some sort of object or thing that has a feminine word. La bibliothèque, elle est moderne. So what I just said is the library, it is modern. Let's look a little bit more closely at these pronouns and the purposes that they serve. You don't have to add this line to your notes, just continue with the rest of this explanation. Subject pronouns in French show number, meaning singular versus plural, and gender, masculine versus feminine. When a subject consists of both genders, use the masculine form. Even if you have a room full of 100 girls and then you have one boy walk into the room, you're going to use the masculine plural form. In this slide we have two examples. Il danse très bien. Notice how this il right here has that silent S at the end, and we're talking about these two people. This means they. They dance very well. Ils sont de Dakar. They are from Dakar. In the plural, il and elle can also be used to mean they in the sense that we're talking about objects, if we're talking about many books, for instance. Again, you don't have to add the subject pronoun header, but you do need to include this explanation. Use tu for informal address. That means with friends, members of your family, no matter what the age, and other people your age. And use vous for formal situations. You use this with teachers or in a store. Even a sales clerk would use vous to talk to you. Vous is also the plural form of you, both informal and formal. So the sentence, comment vas-tu, means how's it going or how are you doing? This sentence right here, comment allez-vous, means how are you? This could be in a formal sense, or you could be asking more than one person how they're doing. The subject pronoun homme refers to people in general, just like the English pronouns one, they, or you sometimes do. Homme can also mean we in a casual style. On always takes the same verb form as il and elle. So in this sentence, en France, on parle français, you could translate this as, in France, one speaks French. That's fine, but really what we would say is, in France, they speak French. Using it as the very casual we, you might say, on est au café. So we are at the coffee shop. So for using all of these subject pronouns, we're going to put them with one special verb. Write this heading, the verb etre, where you are in your notes. Etre, notice this little accent here, it's called a circumflex, means to be. It is an irregular verb. Its conjugation, which is the set of different forms for different subjects, does not follow a pattern. The form etre is called the infinitive. It does not correspond to any particular subject. Etre means to be, and just like in English, to be has many different forms. So read through, practice pronouncing all of the different ways that we use the verb être. Je suis. Tu es. Il est. Elle est. On est. Nous sommes. Vous êtes. Ils sont. Elles sont. Did you notice that after I told you that the S in the word vous is silent, I pronounced it? Make this note that the S of the subject pronoun vous is pronounced as an English Z in the phrase vous êtes. This is called a liaison, and it's represented here by this little red connection. This is something you don't have to write at all in French. We just need it to remind ourselves that we have to make this little connection. Vous êtes à Paris. Vous êtes Monsieur Leclerc. Enchanté. Now write c'est and il or elle est. Use c'est or its plural form, ce sont, plus a noun to identify who or what someone or something is. Except with proper names like Georges, Claude, Sandrine, etc., an article must always precede the noun. So with c'est or ce sont, we have c'est un téléphone. Here's our article. Ce sont des photos. Here's our article. But now here we have Amina, and this is a proper name, so we simply say c'est Amina. We wouldn't say that's an Amina, so we just say that's Amina. You don't have to write this heading down, but do make sure that you're getting this note. Use the phrases il est, elle est, ils sont, and elles sont to refer to someone or something previously mentioned, just like our professeur we talked about earlier. Any noun that follows directly must not be accompanied by an article or adjective. With elle est or il est, only the word that either describes it or states what it is. So let's look here. La bibliothèque, elle est moderne. We're saying the library, it's modern. Voilà Monsieur Richard. Il est professeur. This means there's Mr. Richard. He's a professor. Do you notice how in English we have the word a here? But we will not have that in the French. It's worthwhile to look at this. Boîte à outils means toolbox. This says simply that in French, unlike English, we cannot use an article before a profession after il est, elle est, ils sont, elles sont. So the examples they give us is il est chanteur or elles sont actrices. Notice how we don't say he's an actor, but we just say he's actor in French. So here's your practice page. What you need to do right now is to pause, write out these sentences completely, and write in the correct form of the verb etre. When you're done, click play again and you'll see the answers. Here are the answers. Je suis ici. Ils sont intelligents. Tu es étudiante. Nous sommes à Québec. Vous êtes Madame Lacroix. Marie est chanteuse. So that's it for our first screencast for French class. I hope you had a nice time taking care of this, and then now we know that in class we can do things that are a little bit more exciting than taking notes. Thank you very much.